Welcome back on KALX Berkeley. I'm Excuse My French, and you just listened to an extract of Quantic Live back in 2016, April 3rd. They were in a studio. And talking about the studio, I have Donnie Service over here. Do you want to talk a little bit about yourself? First of all, thank you very much for playing tonight.
Thank you for letting me play.
It was great. I'm a big fan of ambient music anyway, and so it was just, I was in heaven.
Yeah. Well, there was ambient music, and then there was other music on top of the ambient music.
I know, and we need to talk about everything.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to talk a little bit about yourself so that people who don't know you get to know you a little bit?
Well, I perform under the name Donnie Service. I'm in a couple bands, but my given name is Eric Bateman, and I was given the name Donnie Service by some good friends of mine. Travis Huff and Chelsea Dolan, Chelsea was a KALX DJ. She performed under the name Cherushi, and Travis was he performed under the name Michael Blitzen, and so I have a lot of, especially the music I play when I'm playing by myself is very inspired by them, but that's where my name comes from. We were all in a band together called Easy Street, and they gave me an Easy Street name, Donnie Service.
There you go. We're going to listen a little bit of Easy Streets a little bit later.
Cool.
In the middle of the interview, I discovered that music. I'm a fan of Cherushi, actually, before I even knew that she was a KALX DJ, and before I was even working at KALX. And so when I saw that she actually worked on Easy Street and she did a lot of mixing and producing with Travis as well, I was impressed, because I would have never thought that she had other side projects.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they were both very talented. Yeah. So I get to live in their shadow, but it's a wonderful shadow. It's great.
No, why you make your own music too?
I do. Yeah. No. I performed a few tracks that mostly Travis wrote, and then a lot of it's my own too. I always credit them because I wouldn't be where I am without them, and they're always with me. But no, I've been playing music since I was a little kid, and that was a long time ago. I'm in a number of other bands too. Cover band called Alternative Ending that does 90s music. That's a lot of fun. But this is my what I did tonight was just it's free form. It gets to be a long composition with structure and improvisation all kind of rolled into one.
And I love the fact that you mix also a little bit of vocal that has a pop feel to it, and more like 80s music as well. It's very composite, and that was really nice.
Yeah, I mean, I in high school I was in like progressive metal bands, and I wanted to be Mike Patton, and so I had a flair for very dramatic and flamboyant music, lots of Queen, lots of David Bowie, but then and when I was in Easy Street, really, I got more of an aesthetic for electronic music, and then I met my wife, and she's a DJ. She and Chelsea and a bunch of other friends had a techno night that they ran for a long time, so influenced a lot by her too, and got to just learn a lot more about electronic music, but I definitely have a lot of like rock roots.
What was the name of the techno night they used to run?
It was called Pulse Generator.
Pulse Generator.
Yeah. I was at Underground SF for a number of years, and Tutu Hyde before that, I think. So she's been really tied into the San Francisco music scene for a lot of time, but sort of on the more techno house side of things. And I've always been in bands and playing in rehearsal spaces and playing small little dingy holes in the wall in San Francisco and Oakland, and getting to make music just for the sake of making music.
I was asking because probably some of our listeners actually were there back in the days and listening and like, oh yeah, I remember. You know, I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too. Yeah. And if they haven't, Cherushi's music is a great place to look for that, and all the labels that they were on, 100% Silk, and I mean, we're all just this big, tight community of friends that just get to make music. We go out on campouts where people bring sound systems into the woods, and we'll just make a lot of noise all weekend long. So
nice. Were they your biggest influence in your life as an artist?
Well, I mean, obviously, like I said, Travis and Chelsea were probably the biggest influences just personally. But lots of Icelandic music, Björk and Sigur Rós and Agent Fresco and other sort of vocal forward performers. I mentioned Freddie Mercury and Queen and David Bowie. And then, I just get exposed to a lot of music, like I said, through my wife, that I don't even know what it is. I just kind of live in the moment and let it hit me. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. I have a set of questions, of course, but we can go on
Sure.
and off.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a few more things, and then we do a little break with some music from Easy Streets.
Yeah.
We might play some Easy Streets and some Ghost of Lightning.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be great. So one of the questions I like to ask sometimes to the artists that I have in front of me is that what are the positive and the negative elements, if any, that music brought into your life?
Well, the happiest I've ever been making music is when I get to be free with it and, just do what's in my heart. And, a lot of the time I was trying to chase something where, we'd find an audience and we'd build something up and try to really kind of give in to sort of the capitalism that we all live under, that with music and art, really everything becomes this sort of, how many records have you sold, or, who have you performed with? There's this sort of like need to measure it some way. And
it's like a Kenneth Mass Macho, or who has the biggest one?
Yeah, or just
attitude.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, it's just brutal because there's no support if you're trying to earn a living off of it, or at least to commit your full time and make it your work. And I've seen, I have a lot of friends and colleagues who've tried to go down that route and been successful, and I know some of them are hustling and making it work every day, and I know a lot of them don't have health care. A lot of them haven't been to the dentist in a long time, and and a lot of them are doing fine, but I just I'm fortunate in that when I'm making music, it's not for a commercial purpose. It's like tonight is wonderful because I get an hour to kind of just play and explore what I feel like exploring. There's some preparation that goes into it. There's some muscle memory and freedom and improvisation that I get to kind of pull out. But, really just the positive side of it is when I get to be creative and when I get to be with friends,
Do you feel like synthesizer and machines that you've been playing with could be like just like an extension of your voice in a way? Like you to the point that you said muscle memory and all that stuff, but you talk about improvisation. So can you actually to the point where you can use a machine and improvise something and it would fit the set?
Sure. I mean, there's no video so people can't see, but everything I did in there is more or less live. There are some like loops in Ableton that I'm triggering and some MIDI that's bringing notes and bass lines and things, but everything, the tones, there is a keyboard in there that I'm playing live. There's everything is a dance of spinning plates and turning knobs, and there's probably 5 or 6 effects pedals there. There's a modular synth that has 100 cables coming out of it and dozens of knobs, and it's all and the vocal chain is all there are 2 different controllers I have there controlling all of the delays and echoes and harmonies and strange reverbs and weird tones that you're hearing coming from my voice. I'd say 80% of what you just heard is me doing something like with my hands and my voice. So but then there is structure under it. There are songs, right? And there's sort of this train that I'm on, that I'm moving it. And so, yeah, there's you can't do it identical every time. They're the delay pedals that are feeding into each other, they have a mind of their own. And so you get to kind of ride that and you get surprised by it. But then, you know, that's one sort of side of what I do. The other side is I play drums in a cover band, and we just play 90s alternative music. You know, we'll go to, there's a bar out in Walnut Creek called Dan's, and we're playing there June 9th. And it's, you know, like 3 hours of, it's a marathon, right? Because all that music is like Dave Grohl and, you know, Stone Temple Pilots, Jimmy Chamberlain from Smashing Pumpkins, and, you know, drums for me, it's one of my earliest instruments. And all of that, we play that, not quite note for note, but it's very rigid, right? There's you know, a very tight script that 5 people are keeping to. And yet within that, just like I used to play an orchestra with scores of music in front of me, and even when it's written down note for note, there's still the expression that you put into every note, and especially when there's other people that you're playing off of. Like if my bass player, Doc, you know, he and I have been playing together a long time now, and we're really good friends, and so there's this sort of sixth sense of playing, you know, on the beat, behind the beat, in front of the beat, and that interaction, that pushing, that pulling, that bringing the tempo up and down. You know, music is it's just this wonderful interplay, right? And so whether it's me and human beings, or whether it's me and machines that I've programmed, that, you know, it's sort of an echo of my thoughts coming back at me, or
that's the energy.
Yeah,
it's human energy that is even in the machine.
Well, and you know, I'm playing music. There are samples in there that Travis made, right? And there were two songs there that I played that one song there that he wrote, and another song that another bandmate of mine, Zippy Stardust.
Mm-hmm.
He was in a band, Ghost of Lightning, with Travis and myself, and the three of us. It was really Travis's band, and we played what he wrote. But
you did drums?
No. I played keyboards in that band.
You played keyboards, okay.
Yeah, and but yeah, you know, Zippy and I went on to start a band after the Ghost Ship Fire, and Travis passed away, and so I played one of those songs, but I played it without Zippy because he's in New York. So it's even when you're playing music that other people have written, you know, it's a way of still playing with them, right? Travis's thoughts are in there, Zippy's thoughts are in there, and Zippy's still with me, but he's on the other side of the country, and Travis is in my heart. And so when I get to play these songs, and when I get to feel that energy and excitement, you know, writing music is it's difficult because, you know, again, the capitalism thing, it's like you write a song and it's supposed to be this immortal ballad that lasts forever and is played on, you know, people's phones for time immemorial. And yet if you're not some famous megastar and you write something that you love and you spend years writing and rehearsing and recording it and you put it out there, and then, you know, a year goes by and maybe that band broke up, or, you know, or if you, in the case of your friend passing away, you know, all of a sudden there's nobody pushing that music anymore, and there's this fear that it's going to disappear, you know, that nobody's going to, it's like your second death is when the last time somebody says your name, but as a musician, a song, its death is the last time it's ever played. So,
well,
yeah.
I don't believe in ghosts, but I believe that you can, as a living person, you can make sure that the people who passed away live on through you.
Yeah.
So, and it's exactly what you do with your music.
Yeah.
Basically, and everybody that you've lost in your life, you hold them inside you.
Yeah.
In a way, just not just the memories, but the feeling of a personality and all that.
Yeah. And certainly, you know, writing music is very personal, and Travis's words coming out of my mouth. One of the things, you know, one of the reasons Travis gave me the name Donnie Service is because I was so eager. He and Chelsea started Easy Street, and I had recording experience, and I just was like, hey, let me help you record. Let me help you do this. You know, I'll bring my preamps and, you sing and I'll run Pro Tools, I'll let you just perform. And so I spent a lot of time with Travis, like him singing in a mic and him in my ears and watching him sort of compose and sometimes he'd let me coach him a little bit. And so I worshipped just, he was so talented and his voice was so just incredible, right? And so for me to be singing his songs is it's just very personal, because if he was here, I would feel like I was breaking the law or something, right? Like how dare I, right? Mm-hmm. But now I get the privilege to carry them on, and so that's if you're as a musician, you're always looking for inspiration, and so when I come to these songs, it's always like I'm always just ready to sing them and to jump into them, and even when I sing my own that I wrote with Zippy after the fire, it gave me this permission to have a voice again. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. Do you mind if we take a little quick break with
Sure.
some music? We're going to play some Easy Street.
Great.
We talk about playing Believe.
Yeah, let's play Believe.
To the Star.
Yeah.
So let's do that. You're back on KALX Berkeley. We're going to play Easy Street with the song Believe, and we'll be right back. Probably we're going to play some Ghost of Lightning in the meantime afterwards,
cool.
Okay?
Yeah.
Welcome back on KALX Berkeley live tonight, and we're going to continue a little bit our interview with Donnie Service. All right.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about those two songs?
Yeah. So the first one was Believe, and that was actually so after the Ghost Ship Fire, there was still like a pile of music that they'd been working on that wasn't finished, and it was in different states, and so that was one of the songs that was mostly done, and it just needed to be mixed and finished up, and so I got to mix that and take a couple other songs. There was one song that was only half, like the vocals were only half done, and so and the piano was all just MIDI and sort of rough, and so that was Places I Will Never Go. So we gathered all the friends and family together and went down to Fantasy Studios, and as a choir sang the parts, the other chorus and the other verse, and
the Easy Street Choir.
Yeah, the Easy Street Choir. And then we for the piano, I took all the MIDI and I found a studio that had one of those Yamaha Disclavier like controlled pianos, like an actual acoustic piano that you could play with MIDI. And so we took, Chelsea had recorded the part, right? So we took her MIDI recording and put it through the real piano and recorded it, and just goosebumps and chills, putting that together. And so we finished their record and we put that out, and Believe came off of that. And then Ghost of Lightning was Travis's band that he put together. So Hardly Honest was I think it was like the first like real band quote unquote track. I think there was a modular synth intro track before that, but I remember when Travis came to me and Easy Street was on hiatus and Chelsea was doing Cherushi full time, and she'd done all the music in Easy Street and Travis had just done all the singing, and so Travis came to me and he'd been in bands before. He was super talented and had played bass and guitar and everything, but he was mainly a singer, really good singer. And so he came to me and he said, well, you know a lot about recording and production, Eric, like how do I get started? How do I really focus in and learn Ableton and learn how to write like electronic music? And I'm sure he had a similar conversation with Chelsea. But I told him, go get yourself an analog synthesizer with no presets, like a monosynth, right? It doesn't need to be expensive, but it has to not have a screen, no digital recall, nothing. Just every knob is right in front of you. And he got like an Arturia Micro Brute or something like that.
And that's a good one.
Yeah, it's a couple $100 or whatever, and used or whatever. And so he went out and got that, and he got I forget, it's one of the standard like Synthesis 101 books that you know, if you take a college course in electronic music, they probably make you buy one for, you know, way too much money at the college bookstore. But, and in 6 months, like he sat down with that book and that synth, and he got himself a little Volca drum machine or something, and started recording into Ableton, and started buying little modular synths or whatever, and modules. And I swear, in 6 months, he brought me a demo tape, and it had that song on it. And I was just like, whoa, incredible. I mean, it was the beginnings of that song, but it was still, he just really committed, and he was a fantastic painter, you know, super bohemian. When I met him, he was living in like a dance studio in Alameda that was above a pinball arcade, and
that's not far from where I live.
Yeah. There was a window that would go out on the roof, and you know, we're all like 25 or whatever, and just watching the sun go down and smoking pot and just talking about music. And Chelsea was his neighbor. She lived across the hall. That's how Easy Street got started. And so, but yeah, so those songs are just, you know, the Easy Street, you know, was just this time in our lives when it was almost like a joke project at first, and that allowed them to be free with it. You know, it wasn't trying to be like a serious, you know, techno band or a serious rock band or whatever. It was like, oh yeah, let's like do some Italo disco. You know, this is like 2006, right? Mm-hmm. Let's do some Italo disco, and we'll use funny Eastern European accents, and we'll come up with stage personas, and you know, we'll like there was a lot of influence from Japanese like pop star culture, and so they were like, they would make these cards that would have like their blood type and like their favorite food, and it would be like pizza or ice cream, or you know, just like silly. And one thing they loved to do was to take their lyrics and use Babelfish, or you know, precursor to Google Translate at the time, and you know, translate it into Italian and then back into English and then back to Italian and then back to English. Do that a couple times, so the lyrics would be like that Italo disco kind of like, you know, just really hilarious.
Oh, you mean like not totally English, but like Italian English, like as if Italian people would produce music in English because English is
right, like as if it was their second language, mm-hmm. Right? So yeah, you get like "you, I am thinking are in you," mm-hmm. Like, you know, just fun like that. But it was like, because there was this fun, you know, carefreeness to it, and everybody got to be, you know, have an Easy Street name. And I was Donnie Service, Chelsea was Velvet Chang, Travis was Michael Blitzen, Matt was Zippy Stardust, and you know, we eventually had like friends that would just put on costumes, and they would create their own personas, Max Thunder and Lux Fury, and they would get on stage, and we one of them would be like dressed up like a Folsom Street leather daddy, and he'd be just lifting weights the whole show. That was his dance move, was lifting weights. Oh my gosh. Or like kids with headbands and leotards, or somebody in a giant bunny suit. But it just became a party, you know, and it never became any bigger than, we'll go do a show, a couple hundred people will show up and fill a small little venue, some hole in the wall, you know. And we went to Vegas one time, and we played some little off-strip, like, again, like never a big venue, but full of people that were having fun. And that's really just the best thing in music is, I'm sure that, and I have friends who've played on big stages with big audiences, and I've never really done that myself. I'd love to, but I'm sure that's a whole different feeling. But like, even in my cover band, you know, we play these 90s tunes that it's kind of weird to see 20-year-olds, or I guess in a bar they have to be 22 in theory, but or 21, whatever, but they'll come out and they'll sing these lyrics to these songs that, you know, I would listen to on my paper out back in 1992 or 93, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just like, who taught you the lyrics to Sober from Tool, right? Like in 2019, right? Like, I
think that's what you were talking about earlier, about the music live on.
Right.
It doesn't matter. And sometimes you could be the most obscure band from the 80s. You would pick up, a 20-year-old would pick that up sometime down the line in 2023 and say, that's the best thing I ever heard.
Yeah. The thing I love about the cover band is, we'll pick, like, a lot of our stuff is sort of the top 40 90s tunes that you would have heard on, like, Live 105 or whatever in the 90s or the early 2000s. And some of them are, like, B-sides or further, not something that was played in rotation or lesser known stuff. And, you can play the hit and the room will be jumping and dancing to it, or you can play the one that one person in the back of the room knows that song, and that's they run all the way up to the front, and everybody else just might be ho-hum, but that one person who you, like, reached, right? you played the Rain When I Die from Alice in Chains, or we do Paranoid Android from Radiohead, right? Like, just stuff that you won't hear other cover bands do, or you'd have to one at a time. If these bands are still touring, you might get to hear, they might play it on their tour or not, because they, so it's fun just getting to run that gamut and sort of experience that joy of, new people learning old songs.
All right, I have one more question,
Sure.
actually. What advice you would give to younger artists who wants to go into the music scene?
Younger people who want to get into music. My advice is really, music doesn't have to be good. Like, it doesn't, like, forget great. It doesn't even have to be good. Like, I'm 41 now, and I've had a lot of professional experience where I work with people who used to play music by their own words. People who had kids or, played in college, and then at some point they just gave it up. And when I ask them, hey, do you want to come jam or do you want to play? And they'll always be like, no, I'm no good. I don't want to. And it's like there's this barrier to playing and enjoying this thing that, like, I just love so much. And I'm not particularly amazing. I enjoy what I do. And
I love what I heard.
Well,
tonight.
and that's
and on the websites too.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like with any music, right? Like Trent Reznor comes into town, 10,000 people show up and they play at the Regency, right? That's 10,000 people out of, if it happens in San Francisco, that's out of like 750,000 people. But most of those people are coming from out of town and from all over. So really you're talking the Bay Area, like 13 million, 15 million people, and only 10,000 people show up, right? So on the one hand, you can say he's a super successful musician and he reaches all these people. And on the other hand, you can think, you know what? Like, he found his audience and they're still there, and he's making the music he loves and they love it. And, it's not that I wouldn't love to be in front of 10,000 people playing my music, but I was alone in that room tonight and I got to have fun with it. And I've given myself permission for my music to be what it is. That it doesn't have to be great. It doesn't have to, like, just be the best you've ever heard. My intonation of my voice, I might be flat on a note. I might miss something. And does that mean I'm not the greatest singer in the world? I'm not the greatest singer in the world, but I have fun. I love what I do when I do it. And I'm not going to ever let that, like, inadequacy, that comparison stop me. And so my advice is, whether you're looking to get into the scene and join a band and get real serious with it, or whether you're somebody who sings and you love singing karaoke, is don't feel like it has to be good. It just has to be fun. And
the passion too, because if you have the passion, you can continue learning. Just like when you were talking about Travis buying that Arturia Macro Brute and just in 6 months being able to pull out a good quality demo tape.
Well, the only way that you can develop a practice where you do something regularly is if you make it fun.
Yeah.
And if you make it have to be good, you won't have fun. And then you won't do it.
Yeah, because you force yourself.
Yeah, and then you won't ever get good, right? Like, so it really just has to be allowing yourself to play, right? Get in the sandbox and just play.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about also your music, where people can find that.
So one of the songs I played tonight is from a band called Star Service, which you can find. It's the web URL is starservice.space. That's where you can find that. I'm also in a band called Alternative Ending, which is a cover band. That's alternativeending.net. And you can find our YouTube channel there, but we're playing at Dan's in Walnut Creek on June 9th, and probably some more shows there, because that's just where we tend to play. And then you can find Ghost of Lightning at ghostoflightning.bandcamp. So that's ghostoflightning.bandcamp.com, cherushi.bandcamp.com, easystreetmusic.bandcamp.com. And all that stuff links to everything else from there. Yeah.
Okay, and any future project?
I'm sorry?
Any future project besides live?
I'm just making music as Donnie Service. When Matt comes in to town again, Zippy, I should say, next time he's here, I'm going to force him to play a show somewhere as Star Service. And then I'm just going to keep doing exactly what you're hearing now, which is I will find venues to play an hour, and if you're looking for somebody to play for an hour, feel free to reach out to me through any of those sites.
Always welcome to come back.
Awesome, I'd love to.
All right, thank you very much for playing tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the interview. We're going to finish with a song that you chose from Cherushi, which was?
This is Rudy's Party, which my wife sings on. She's in the other room. I don't know if she can hear me right now. But so she sings on this one, and she and Chelsea made it together.
Oh, so. Well, if she hasn't heard you yet, she's going to hear herself. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.